Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TMP Finance, where we make long and short-term investing simple. There's a lot to go over today, so I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible. But we're going to look at the Dow Jones, at the NASDAQ, and at a couple other stocks that you got to be keeping an eye out for very, very soon. Without further ado, let's get started here. The heat map has been very mixed, as it's very apparent here that we're kind of in this range, in this doji candle. We closed at 0.32% in the negative today, and everything's been very mixed. You have Google that made new all-time highs. Yeah, Tesla's making some new highs in its new bull trend, and then you also have other stocks like Microsoft that are kind of topped out and they're kind of slowing down now. But let's take a look at the NASDAQ here. On Friday, I told people that the NASDAQ was going to be very, very bullish, and just take a look at what it's done. 1.6%, very strong engulfing candle compared to the previous 2 days. That being said, we've been in a bull trend. I don't see a reason for us to stop being in this bull trend. And that being said, the best possible scenario is going to be going long. That being said, what I'm looking for my long position is very simple. Placing my trade right at the previous day close, I'm putting my stop loss right below the previous low of day, and my take profit is at this support level over here at about 23,662. So that's about a 3 risk reward ratio there, and it's a very good trade for me to keep an eye out for. That is my long position. Now, the only time that I'm going to be risk off in the market or shorting the market is if we break below the 22,959 level over here. Great psychological level, a lot of price action around this level here, and if we do break below that, then I'm looking for a retest of previous all-time highs sitting at 22,100. This is a level that will 100% get retested. It doesn't need to be now, it doesn't need to be next week, but just in the future sometime, you can come to look at a touch of this level. That being said, most likely we'll get a touch, of course, if we break below this level over here. But that's pretty much it for the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the next index, which is going to be the Dow Jones. This is one index I'm not a huge fan of trading, just because it's very, very slow, but this opportunity is so golden, I can't miss out on it. What am I seeing here for the Dow Jones? Well, typically the Dow Jones, it does everything the NASDAQ does, but just at its own pace and less volatile and a little bit kind of delayed. So that being said, considering the NASDAQ has made all-time highs of about 8%, I'm taking a look at Dow Jones doing pretty much the exact same thing, maybe a little bit less, call it 4 or 5%. What I'm seeing in the Dow Jones, you have the support level that's rising up here. You also have this previous all-time high level, which is sitting at about 45,000, very good psychological level there. And right now, there's very little risk to be taken here. What I'm looking to do, placing my trade for the Dow Jones right there, stop loss right below the rising support level or the linear support level. I personally like the rising one more. So I'm going to fix my stop loss right to about here, let's say. And then my take profit, what am I looking for? We can see that with the Dow Jones, which is not something you can typically see with the NASDAQ. You have these very apparent tops and this very linear resistance line that goes back for a lot of years here. That being said, what am I looking to do? I'm looking to draw a line that kind of fits in between these levels here. It could be something like about here, trying to find where it touches this resistance over here, calling this kind of like an average line. I think that by the time support and resistance touch, which it won't touch exactly, the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones will probably leave one of these lines before that happens. But I think a very conservative level to take profit is this 47,000 level. That being said, take profit at 47,000, stop loss right below 4,500 at about 44,900. You're looking at a risk reward of 4.44. Very, very good there. Let's take a look at another stock. I mentioned this a bit earlier, Tesla. This is a stock that I'm keeping my eyes peeled for, and I've actually placed lots of trades. I've been begging a lot of people to buy a Tesla. We've had this very strong resistance level that's been falling down ever since 2024 of December. And that being said, we got this very strong breakout, a retest of this level, and from here I think a very safe take profit can be seen as 355. Now, why am I saying 355? I see a lot of tops in the market at about $357. That being said, as a day trader, especially a leveraged day trader or someone who's trading on margin like myself, I don't really care to take my take profit right at the perfect dollar or the perfect cent level. I like to give it I'd like to be a little bit more conservative because, again, let's say I miss it on 1 or 2%, that's absolutely fine. But if my trade ends up reversing, I'm not going to be very happy with that. That being said, conservative take profit, my stop loss can be trailed all the way, so it's right at break even, if not a little bit higher. But that being said, I think we could cash out for this trade as soon as tomorrow. So if you are looking for fantastic trades like this, we've made a couple of very, very good trades with Tesla very recently. We did when we were shorting Tesla all the way down. We did another one on the way back up. And there's just been so many more trades. We're currently beating the market by about 600% year to date. If you want to get a part of this, if you want to learn all the trades I personally take in real time, take a look at the link in my description, wap.com/tmpfinance. From there, you'll get access to everything when it comes to day and swing trading that I do. But that's pretty much it for Tesla here. We're going to cash up very, very soon, which I'm very excited about. Let's take a look at a couple other stocks over here. The next one being Adobe. This is one stock that I think has a lot of growth. Adobe is worth $150 billion. Matt is a tech stock that has about, I think it's something like 85% of its products are being used in commercial settings. So that being said, I don't think it's going anywhere. You're looking at big names like Photoshop, and I don't think that's going anywhere whatsoever, but that's just one of them. Again, there's so many products to have, but regardless, you're falling 50% from this previous swing high here, double bottom, which is a very strong pattern here, showing that we have very key significant support right about $332 a share, as we can see here as well and here as well. Take profit, I'm looking at $500 a share. It's been a very strong very strong support and resistance level in the past, and it's also a great psychological number. And as bull trends typically move in higher highs and higher lows, there's no reason for us to make a lower low. That being said, I'm looking to take my stop loss right to 347 and look for an upside of 37%. So that being said, I'm very, very excited for that. But very, very simple trades to be taken and a lot of money to be made in the NASDAQ, or just in the stock market in general. So if you are interested in getting all these trades that I take, come take a look at the link in my description. But that's going to be a wrap for today. Thank you very, very much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Later, y'all.